My big question is, are you married yet?
Am I married yet?
All right, it's time to get married now. It's like, hang on. All my life you've told me not to have a boyfriend and girlfriend, and now you say you want me to get married. And I think the thing that irritates me, it's very superficial. It's kind of like, what, so because I'm shorter, I'm not a good fit for your daughter, or because I've got a different skin tone, I might be darker. Because in our culture, being dark is a negative trait. Being short is a negative trait. Even caste system, that's the biggest nonsense, I think. It's things you can't help, but things that you're being judged on. Oh yeah, he's a lower caste. It's like, yeah, but I'm still a great person.
It's not your life. I'm not living your life. You're not going, it's me. My life is worth something. There's also those pressures as well. But I think it's quite brave. I mean, I don't know. For myself, I feel quite brave within myself that I've been able to push back and say, I want to be the best person for my partner, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Hey guys, I'm Ram. This is Ranj, and welcome to the Thinking Out Loud podcast. We hope you enjoy the show. Today,
what are we going to talk about?
Well,
my big question is, are you married yet?
Am I married yet?
Are you married
yet?
You know, I know, but and to be fair, all the aunties that ask you probably know as well. But they ask you to open that line of questioning.
Yeah. Funny enough, you say that. Is one of my aunties came around yesterday, and I said to Mum, I said, look, just tell her I'm exercising and I've got a meeting at 7 o'clock. Yeah. Because the first question would be, are you married yet? Are you married yet?
Are you seeing anyone?
Yeah.
Are you with anyone?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, hang on. Well, and that's the thing. It's one of those things where all of our childhood, it's the elders are like, don't have a girlfriend, don't have a boyfriend, etc. Go to school, study, go university, get a job. That's the important thing. Yeah. And then as soon as you achieve all that, it's kind of like, all right, it's time to get married now. It's like, hang on, you all my life you've told me not to have a boyfriend and girlfriend, and now you say you want me to get married. That's, So I think it's that question always used to grate me. Like, are you with anyone? And it's kind of like, if I was with anyone, I would not probably tell you at all. Like, well, I would tell you and not told my parents, kind of thing. So that question, like, obviously, like we said, like, obviously you're not married. Like, how do you feel like when people do ask you that question? What's your thought process? Like, do you tend to are you a bit short with people when they ask you, or are you just kind of like, well, I'm not bothered, that to them, I'm expecting that question, or how does it make you feel?
I think it depends. It depends on if they're willing to understand the reasons as to why I'm married or why I'm not. Because, our aunties unfortunately do have the past generation, how things were in terms of that linear approach of getting studies, getting married, that their expectation is you should be married by now. There's no excuses for you to not be married at this age. But then I look at it at the lens of, I'm vague with those aunties, unfortunately, who do always ask, aunties and uncles, to say, look, are you married yet? Because there'll be reasons as to why I'm not yet married yet. Yeah. And I don't think they'd be able to understand those reasons why. Yeah. And it would be a very vague conversation, and it comes across as pressurizing, unfortunately. But generally, coming to the question of why I'm not married is I was in a difficult relationship. And it's been difficult. It's been very challenging to get myself out of that, where I can give myself the permission to move on. Yeah. And obviously there's a number of reasons for that, but I've been going through therapy and been working through, which has been really, really helpful for me to give myself that permission that I feel like I deserve to be in a happy and healthy relationship. I think the relationship that I was with wasn't the healthiest, if I can say that. And I've had to work through some difficulties in my mind, which has altered my perception on relationships and love, and essentially it's made me think of, well, is there really healthy love out there? And I've started to question whether it's worth being in a relationship. Am I going to be, is it going to be as difficult as it was in the last one? So, but I've gone through a lot of therapy, and I've said and I know for myself what it is that I want is a healthy relationship. I want to be settling down with somebody now. And I am ready for it. I just feel like the last relationship introduced a lot of fear in me of, is it the right path for me to go? But I think it is, and now I'm in a position where I am ready to settle and meet people, move forward. But I've had to go through a lot of forgiveness within myself.
Yeah.
That things didn't work out the way you'd hoped that they'd work out with your previous relationship. So I think it was really important not to get into the mode of stop with someone, then quickly find someone just to cover how you feel.
Yeah.
Have to go through, I feel you have to go through those feelings of grieving something that hasn't worked, so you can come out on the other side thinking, yes, okay, it's happened now. You now are able to move on, but I don't want to move on with these feelings of I'm not ready and I'm just going to do it for the sake of pleasing my aunties and uncles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't want that to happen. But this conversation, I'm telling you the reasons why, actual reasons why, because I feel like you're a person that understands.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't think though the aunties and uncles that we connect with do understand. So I keep it vague.
I think that's the thing. I think it's really important that, because obviously, like you said, you kind of go into a relationship with the all in, and your intent is, you know what, it's going to be a positive relationship. And obviously when something happens, obviously I don't know exactly what happens, but if it didn't go well, obviously you will be grieving and you don't want to kind of rebound with anyone else. But in a relationship, I think you have to work on yourself, both before you get into a relationship, after, like during and potentially after, right? Just to kind of understand yourself a bit more. What are your likes? Maybe this person, they kind of, you didn't expect them to have some sort of like habit or idea or something that, you might have thought, you know what, it's all right, I can tolerate this. But then when you get into that relationship, it might be like, okay, you know what, I can't. But that's just learning for you for when you do find that person. You just kind of like, they have these traits, like potentially that reminds me of my like previous relationship, and you just think, okay, maybe that might be a bit of a red flag for yourself. But yeah, it's definitely important to kind of, I think, work on yourself, know yourself, and be at peace with yourself and where you are. And you can take that into that relationship, and then hopefully then you'll be with someone who's like-minded and you can kind of grow together. I think that's probably one of the, and it might be a modern way of thinking, like with myself. But obviously you get the, I guess I'm going to say old school people, but you get the people, and I'm not saying that everyone's like this, because everyone gets married at their right time, whether it's they're being with someone from school, college, university, and then like, okay, now it's time to get married kind of thing. So they marry young, but it's the people who have never been in the relationship who are very old school mentality. It's like, all right, I've got my qualification, I've passed university, now it's time to get married. And it's those people that I kind of, after I left uni, I didn't know who I was. And so getting into a relationship, getting like married, would be very daunting. Even like I'm married now, and I've been with my wife since uni, like on and off since uni, and I feel we still don't know each other like fully, right? Because again, we both work on ourselves, and we're both growing and all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes I feel like people who get married straight after uni, I'm just like, you're still a child, really. And how can you get married when you might have that immaturity in yourself? And I think that obviously that's part of the pressures. And I think sometimes it can be difficult. And like I said, like obviously the reason for this series is pretty much about mental health and how much that will knock you, but like obviously in marriage, maybe even the pressure before marriage of saying, right, I need to find someone now. This is I've done what I had to do. Now it's the next step is to get married and have kids, and the pressure of that, So
and to be honest, I mean, look, I don't blame the generation above us who ask these questions, because it's the world that they were brought up in, and that's the world they've understood. So there is likely to be a shock of why you're not married yet. But I think it's also accepting that everyone has their own choices and their own timeline, and that's probably something that they're not familiar with. because they have a certain age of, you should get married between 24 and 30, for example. And, you know, you may miss your chance if you don't get married yet. But things are changing now in the world where we've all got our own timeline and people get married late now. Yeah. And it's not just about getting two people together as one. It is actually, like you said, working on yourself, being prepared so you can be the best person for your partner and vice versa. Yeah. But that's not saying be the perfect person and get yourself prepared so that you can get into a relationship thinking, I'm the perfect person now, you should be, I'm sure you'll be able to be with me. Yeah, yeah. It's now a case of more, look, you've got to recognise that you can grow together, but you've got to be in a position to be open with each other, be honest with each other, and recognise that you're not going to be the perfect person. And I think the hallmark of a strong relationship is emotional connection. Yeah. And it's being open and honest with each other. And in my past relationship, I think there were some issues with respect to, you know, honesty and trust, and we worked through it. Yeah, really worked through it a lot. But then sometimes you just come to a conclusion where things are just not going to work, and that's okay. But it's important to not say, right, okay, it's not going to work, and because I think a lot of men think logically, okay, and I've done this, I've been guilty of this. Is, well, if I move on with this person, I'll need to give myself a couple of months just to grieve and go through that process, then I'll move on and get on the dating sites and everything. Doesn't work like that. Hence why it's important to consider settling down on your own timeline so you can be emotionally prepared, ready, you've emotionally grieved the process and you've moved on from that past relationship, and you're ready to be a healthy human for that other partner. Yeah. It's not fair going on a rebound and then you're just your unhealthy, messy self, and that's not fair on the other person, is it? Yeah, no, definitely. And you know, even though when you are with someone or married or whatever, it's still not easy. It's still very difficult. It's not like, okay, I've worked on myself, we're good to go, I found someone, we're both happy. It's always going to be something that you have to work on, and yes, some days are tough. It's not always like rosy and happy and stuff like that, but that's that maturity, right? You need to have that conversation and just say, this has kind of irritated me, or like, you know, so it's having that maturity to have that conversation rather than just bottling up and just say, yeah, no, that's fine. And you know, I bottle up quite a lot. You know, it's I think it is a male trait. It's difficult for men to open up, and I do bottle quite a lot, and I do go silent when I'm annoyed or whatever, or kind of just keep it in, and then all of a sudden something, the tiniest thing could just trigger me and just kind of like, and like, you know, you just get so annoyed. But it's having someone who kind of, I guess, understands that and doesn't like kind of fully take it to heart that, okay, he's pissed off with me. I know I need to just calm down, and then I can have a proper conversation rather than having the conversation while I'm annoyed, because, you know, I might say something that I don't mean, but it's the way it comes out because frustration's there. Yeah. But yeah, no. So I think yeah, like I said, like I guess what we wanted to kind of talk about today is kind of the pressures before getting married. So we'll save like the post marriage stuff for another time. But there's a lot to cover there. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. But so what I want to kind of talk about, and I think it's something that irritates me quite a lot. It's basically being judged when you're kind of when you're looking for someone. Obviously, in our culture there's love marriage. Yeah. You found someone and you want to marry him, happy days. Yeah. Then there's the introduced and obviously arranged. With the introduced, it's kind of, I know someone, she knows someone, go on a few dates and stuff. And I think that's the thing I think introduction's fine because it just helps, but it's that pressure, and sometimes it seems like it's a superficial thing, right? Because sometimes it's kind of like, here's a picture of them, this is their spec, this is their CV, essentially, right? That's what you get at the Gurdwara and the other like temples and whatever. It's kind of like, this is their spec. He's 5 foot whatever, this is what he looks like. And I think the thing that
irritates me. It's very superficial. It's kind of like,
yeah.
what? So because I'm shorter, I'm not a good fit for your your daughter, or because I've got a different skin tone, I might be darker. Because we know in our culture, being dark is a negative trait.
Yeah.
Being short is a negative trait. Even caste system. That's the biggest nonsense. I think it's things you can't help, but things that you're being judged on.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he's a lower caste. It's like, yeah, but I'm still a great person. Like, I know myself, I'm a great person, but because I don't match your caste, because I'm a lower caste potentially, that means like we're not good for each other. That's ridiculous. So, and I think when you do have things that are out of your control, like skin tone, like height, like other stuff, it's kind of, and you constantly hear no. And how much of a negative effect that can have on one person, because there's only so many no's that you can take, and sometimes it might be like, you know what, screw it, I don't want to get married if it means, if this is how you'll see me, how about if you see me for who I am? I think that's the thing that really kind of grates me. And it's interesting because if you're looking at it from a caste system perspective, you are conditioning your sons and daughters to only go for a profile that fits your narrative, not what the actual person who's getting married or wants to get married wants. And when you condition your mind to think like that, you are conditioning to search and look for that, or talk to that person, communicate with that person with like a tick box exercise when you're talking to them. Yep, he's tall. Yeah, I've looked at him. Yeah, he's tall. He's this, he's that. We get on. Perfect fit. It meets the criteria that you guys want me to get married to. And that is pulling the control away from the actual person who wants to get married. And the most fundamental thing that you are not connecting with is the heart of a person. What about the heart? What about their manners? What about their values? What about their kindness? You are substituting those values for just, he meets the profile that you guys want to set. And I think that's it is superficial, and it's sad because you overlook just how nice or wonderful that person may be, man or woman, but unfortunately doesn't meet that criteria. And that, how much pressure that could put on the person who wants to get married, who may even see that as, he has got a great heart, he's a lovely guy, but you don't meet my caste requirements. How sad that is for the person who maybe liked that person, but also the person who has to conform to these caste requirements. And it's just really sad because, at the end of the day, what is at the same time what you want to not what you don't want to do is to you want to set your stall out early for someone. So if you are going to meet someone and you have it with a caste system in mind, don't go on dates for 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Because I'm sure, I don't know, but because I've never done the casting, but surely within the first few dates, you'll probably look at them physically and go, yep, they meet the physical requirements. And then you'd ask questions, like I said, relating to those caste requirements. So it's one of those where it really shortens the amount of time you have with that person. And as I was saying, you don't look at the heart of the person, how nice they are. And it's just frustrating. I guess I can understand the frustration. But if you condition your mind from a caste system, then that's all then you're just going to get married from what you see. Go beyond that. You say, no, I don't, not interested in the caste system. Then you go into something a lot more deeper, meaningful, which is love, a good, caring heart. And I think for me, that's the hallmark of a strong relationship. And I think about it the other way around. Like, coincidentally, I was speaking to someone yesterday, in preparation for this. And we were just talking about it, and he said, well, he's an English guy, he doesn't know anything about the caste system, and his girlfriend works at a dental practice, and there's a girl getting married there, a dentist is getting married there. And we were talking about the caste system. He goes, he's part of the same caste. And I was like, okay. He goes, but he's a complete arsehole. And I was like, right. And I think that's the point I'm trying to give. It's like, well, oh wow, Dan, he meets that requirement. I don't know what he did for a job, so whether he earns a good wage, he might be the correct height and all that kind of stuff. He's a correct caste, but he's an asshole. So I don't understand. So because he ticks all them boxes, but he doesn't treat like the bride to be well. It's kind of like,
is that part of the criteria?
Is that okay? Like, like, what would you rather? You rather have someone who's potentially lower caste, if you follow the caste system, but treats your daughter or whatever well, and that's what frustrates me. And I think, just the caste system. We obviously in our religion, it's not even a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. But it is, and the fact that even now, like, there's like people say, I'm John, and it's like, but have you ever been on a farm? Have you ever done any farming? Nah. And it's kind of like, and that's the thing that frustrates me, because they got this label. It's like, I am this. That means I'm better than you, and it's like, oh yeah, really, because you're potentially like just a real toxic, negative, bad person. So and just because you're fall part of a higher caste, it's kind of like, does that make you an angel? Like, no, it doesn't. And I think, like I said, I can go on about it for ages, and obviously, like we say, like, the opinions are my own, and people might not agree, but that's one of the things that it does frustrate me about caste, but like the other things about the superficial part of potentially getting married or trying to find someone, and how difficult it is. And I think that's why there are now a lot more modern, like, the modern people are not getting married as much, or getting married later, maybe because it could be that thing of, I need to find myself, but it also probably is like, this is a very superficial way of getting married. And going back to even like, we understand like where our parents or the elder generation are coming from, because they always say, we don't want you to be alone. And I 100% get that, but like you said, there's also a time and a place, and a time for everyone to get married. It is not just that lineal, okay, you've got a job, now you get married. There's a few angles that I'm going to come across with this, and there's also that we're in a social media age where the message has been amplified so much that that you don't have to get married on someone else's timeline, and that is what the sort of the message has been, even for those who in the generation above us, that you have to get married, and I think this have to get married at a certain timeline, so you follow those traditions. But social media has opened things up to say, hang on, you matter, your needs matter, what you want matters. And I think we are in an age where everyone can make decisions for themselves, because they actually think, hang on a second, it's not your life. I'm not living your life. I'm not going to. It's me. My life is worth something. My life is deserving of something, and I can make decisions for the betterment of my own life. And I commend those who are willing to take control of that if they've experienced the pressures of getting married at a certain age and having that peer pressure. And that's my next angle I'm coming into, because I can understand the peer pressure that comes in. So I don't really blame our older generation as such, because I mentioned earlier is that they think, you should be married because that's how it was back in the day. And but I think what we're trying to do is also, yes, we've got the pressure that we carry, even as men, that we carry, that you've got to fulfill your duties to look after your wife and look after your family and etc., the breadwinner, etc. But there's also those pressures as well. But I think it's quite brave. I mean, I don't know, for myself, I feel quite brave within myself that I've been able to push back and say, I want to be the best person for my partner, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and so that relationship is healthy. And again, I'm just observing the landscape of what it was like back in the day. But were
relationships healthy back in the day? Or was it just putting two together for the sake of meeting those expectations? And I mean, I'm just observing and exploring whether that is the case, because it does come across as if that's the way it is. So I think now it's people want to make their own choices and find their own choices in alignment to the life that they both want to live. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think, like, obviously before, like, our parents' time, it was pretty much a turn up on the wedding day, this is your wife, you know, and it's like, what, you know, and bear in mind, obviously, like, even when, like, dad, even when dad had, like, us three, like, I think after he had me, he was younger than me, what I currently am, and I'm like, geez, so you must have got married, obviously, really young, and had 3 kids really young. And I'm here, like, still relatively immature and stuff. And you just think, geez, but obviously now, like before, there was, this is your wife, get married, ride off into sunset. Now, even I guess the old school are probably just thinking as well, just kind of like, you've met 4 people already. Come on, make a decision, like, exactly, and it's like, what? So even for them, it's kind of like, okay, the new generation are getting spoiled now because there's loads of different options that they're getting. But obviously it's difficult because you have to make that decision relatively quick. Obviously not as quick as turn up to the wedding day, but it's still relatively quick. Like, okay, you've been on a few dates. Do you want to marry this person? You're like, hang on, like, you know, well, I don't even know this person. And the thing that I always kind of think about is about just code switching, which is basically when, so for example, if you get a guy who's, you know, fairly in front of the elders, he's good as gold, he's kind of like, yes, auntie, yes, uncle, you know, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll go, don't drink, I'll go to the Gurdwara, this, that, and the other. So, okay, well, he's a good kid, but, you know, behind closed doors, he could be doing all sorts and drinking, drugs, smoking, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they're pulling the wool over someone's eyes just to kind of, I guess, fulfill their pressures because they've been probably told to get married. So it's like, okay, fine, I'll say whatever I need to say to get married, get my parents off my back. And then, you know, so for those 3 months, 4 months, however many months, the couple start talking and they both say, yep, I think we're ready, I want to get married to this person. And then as soon as they're married, then it could completely change, and this person will be their true self. I'm not saying it's just men, it could be women as well. Like, this is their true self. They're going out, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're maybe, you know, the toxic might be going out, meeting other partners or whatever, you know, like cheating, you just don't know. And that's the thing that's just adds that extra bit of pressure. It's like, okay. And that it goes back to the immaturity. If you just come out of uni and you don't know the world really.
Exactly.
How your gut tells you a lot, and if you don't get a right feeling about this person when you're older, you probably have that gut feeling is probably a bit stronger. At uni, or coming out of uni, you're probably still naive, and it's kind of like, I want to marry this person, and then it all comes out after they get married, and you're just like, oh shit, and obviously, divorce is frowned upon. Even though there's nothing wrong with it, really. It's frowned upon because if you're not happy in a relationship, you need to get out, kind of thing. If it's a bad relationship, you need to get out. But it's frowned upon. But because you're married, then there might be someone who's just not happy at all, and just they don't want to bring shame on their family by getting a divorce. You know, so that's a massive pressure on someone who doesn't really know themselves coming out of uni, or even just anyone who's getting pressure from their parents or family members, and just say, you need to get married. You've met this person 5 times. Do you want to get married to them? And you're like, I met them 5 times and you want me to spend the rest of my life with them and be happy and stuff. It's difficult. And don't get me wrong, like, obviously it works, but for me it's very daunting, or it would be very daunting. And it works, but how happy are the people that it works for? It might be kind of like, it's all right, or is it, this is amazing, you know. So yeah, I think the pressures on just even that sort of trying to get into a relationship, trying to make that decision, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It is. And I've learned a few things. That number one, you shouldn't go on a date with a mask on.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't cover up yourself as to are you truly who you are, just to feel like you have been validated, or you can seek validation from that other partner.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to be honest and vulnerable when you're meeting people. So that even means having uncomfortable conversations to be able to say, look, you know, whether it's here's my past experience, you know, I may have been divorced, or this has happened, or that's happened, and you know, you can't control the outcome or the response of that other person.
Yeah.
But what is important is to recognize that if you're not honest and vulnerable up front, further down in your relationship, something's going to hit the fan, and you're going to start repenting, regretting, oh, it's too late, or, you know, I didn't know about you about this. I didn't know anything about you about this side of you or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just learned, like, in my relationships, what I try my hardest to do is just be as honest as I can. If something isn't working, say it. If something has triggered you, say it.
Yeah.
You know, if there's anything that's worrying you or concerning you that you're anxious about, say it. And the advice, and you'd want a partner who, for me, is reciprocal, who's able to listen and to be able to understand. I think understanding is obviously really, really key in the relationship. And I think the funny thing is we're talking about the pressures of getting married, is that were you in those times afforded that opportunity to sink deeper with that in that person's heart, to go, you know, to be able to express vulnerably, or was the engagement just, yeah, we get on very well, yep, she, like I said, the caste system, tick box exercise, and it's fine. Yeah. But like I said, you're looking at it from a lens from afar, but then I'm sure that shit will hit the fan when you start living together.
Yeah.
And you know, the triggers and traumas will start appearing in the relationship, cracks will start to appear, and then you'll go distant, right? And I think it's really important in order to, in relationships, if you are honest and vulnerable and open between both of you, then a relationship will work. And you're right, Ranj, you don't want to sit, you want to be in a relationship, you're going to be in a relationship for 30, 40, 50 years, touch wood, if you stay well. And you would want to have a relationship that is healthy as it possibly can. Yeah. And the main importance of that is to be open and honest and vulnerable when you're meeting someone up front. And then you know each other, and then you feel confident in being able to express what, if anything, that's wrong. If you're anxious, if you're fearful. I think as humans, we tend to hide from expressing those negative feelings, but it's really important, because it's healthy to express. Yeah. And men need to be, I feel like men need to recognize this a lot more, is that start expressing how you feel. Yeah. Don't bottle it up. Even when you're married or any pressure, just don't bottle it up, because the pressure to be able to conform to those narratives of breadwinner, looking after the family, men have to be strong. Men are not strong if you hide. They're not, you are, I don't want to use the word coward, but it's like a cowardice mentality of, I can't tell anyone because then, you know, I'm going to consider myself weak, or don't do that. The healthiest thing to do is to express vulnerably, because that is, to me, that's the form, that's what being strong is as a man. Yeah. Is be able to be vulnerable and express what is truly going on inside of you. And that's just the hallmark of a healthy relationship. That's just my opinion.
The thing is, going back to what you were saying about, like, you know, in the early stages, be open, honest, vulnerable, like, be vulnerable, be yourself. Yeah. That's easy for someone like you who, I guess, have been working on themselves. Is used to doing it. Yeah. However, if someone's not used to doing that, they wouldn't know that, and they will pretty much tell the other person exactly what they want to hear. If they start being vulnerable, and then the other person across the table is kind of thinking, this guy's a bit of a, you know, too vulnerable. Like, I'm not feeling this.
It can be uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then he says, and then she might go to her parents and say, "No, I'm not a big fan of this guy."
Sure.
There might be that shame as well on the boy. Like if the boy was vulnerable and open, there might be that shame that on his family, just say, "Oh, this girl," and the family said no to me.
Yeah.
Because it's because obviously your parents are in most cases, like your parents are like your biggest fans, right?
Absolutely.
And they would hate anyone saying, "Oh no, he's not right for my daughter because this, that, and the other."
Sure.
That might then cause a bit of friction. It's going to cause again, yeah, it might be disappointment because if you're in some sort of like close knit community and just like, oh, why have they not got married? I thought they were going to get married or whatever, or get together. It's like, well, no, because he was open with this, and they just didn't get on.
Yeah,
I think that's why there is such a code switch. There is such a cover up, and just say, I will tell you exactly what you want to hear. You tell me exactly what I want to hear, so everyone's happy, and there's no sort of shame that no. When someone says no to you, it is demoralizing. Just say, I do not want to get married to this person, because in your head, like me or your parents would be like, he's perfect, and that's what parents should think about their kids. Like, my kid is perfect, right? But outside looking in, it's kind of like, okay, he might not be perfect. No one's perfect, right? But when someone says no, he doesn't want to get married because of this, that, and the other, that's a kick in the gut, and and it's kind of like, and no one likes being told no as well. So that's why some people might find it difficult to open up, and that's what I'm saying. Like with introduced marriages, or introduced kind of couples, it might be difficult doing that. If it was more of a love marriage, or even if it was someone that you knew at uni, if you had a big wide, and you start talking to them, and it's kind of like, at least this person knows me from me. And I can be open with them, and then they can make that decision rather than having the pressure of everyone else around me.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the later you leave it, the more pressurized you are going to feel.
Yeah.
And, it's a case of, well, how much control do you have over your own decisions, I feel. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everyone has their own needs of a relationship. And you're right, absolutely right. Some men, some women do not want to be vulnerable. Maybe they're not ready to be vulnerable yet. And it may take some time. Yeah. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. And then their needs might be, look, I'm actually all right. I don't want to express something. That's absolutely fine. But in my opinion, I think it's coming back to that control element. Is if the pressure is likely to be felt if you have had multiple rejections, but the peer pressure of wanting to get married, because naturally, don't get me wrong, I'm 34 years old. I do actually feel that it's time for me to settle down and get married, 100 wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I want to be fit and able in order to be able to get married. And don't get me wrong, if I had one or two rejections, will I feel the peer pressure?
Yeah.
Possibly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, and I think it's striking that balance and it's difficult. It's really hard because, again, if you are strong and have control over your own life, and say, yep, I will get married when I find the right person. Yeah. Then you won't put any undue pressure on yourself. You might wait till you're 36, 37 until it's the right person. Yeah. But of course, if you have the tendencies of wanting to please and have those pressures, it can be very, very daunting to have that one or two rejections, and then you can think to yourself, "Oh, I'm not good enough. See, mum and dad," or "I'm not good enough," or "And I'm trying. Please let me. I'm trying." So it's very hard. Yeah. It's really hard, particularly if you have those pressures going back. So I've had them. I'm sure you've had them. Yeah. So I'm saying this with a very sympathetic voice to everyone. Is that it's not easy. Yeah, and I think just to, I guess, wrap up and just on that point, it's kind of like everyone has their own path, and I think it's just not to rush, but just do everything in your own time, and everything I think will fall into place. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. As long as
you're in the best position yourself, and you work on yourself, and you feel right, this is the best time, and then you just do what's best, and hopefully it will work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just look, what I like to sign off on is it's that, yes, it is not easy, but if you are in a position like me who is still looking for someone, it's just trust that the path that you are going on will work out for yourself. It's just really important to close off in saying, have hope, have faith, and it's not too late.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental message. It's not too late. You are entitled. Your values and what your needs are in a marriage, in a relationship, they are valid.
Yeah.
You want to take time to find the right person and make the right choice. You do that for yourself.
Yeah.
But like I said, it is challenging. But trust your path.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, we all hope that we have more healthy relationships in this world.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
nice.
Awesome. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to the Thinking Out Loud podcast. Please like and subscribe on your way out, and check back for the next one.